back to Onyx Pages. Look there, that is where I'm looking. Okay, so it's been a week, it's been a day, but I am very proud to report that I am posting this Friday Reads video on Friday because I haven't done that for the past 2 days. So very briefly, I finished reading Kindred yesterday. This is the 4th time that I have read Kindred, this book by Octavia E. Butler. And I'm reading it because this Sunday is going to be the first live show of the OEB slow read, the Octavia Butler slow read along. It's been a day, so I will be slurring my words, not for any inappropriate reasons. And yeah, so Tatiana from Musical Tati, Isis from Sista Sci-Fi, and I are going to be the wonderful trio who will be ushering folks through our discussion of Kindred. So what, you ask, is Kindred? So Kindred is Octavia, I'm smiling at Tommy, she's right there, because as ever present. Kindred is the story of Idana Kingston, or Dana. Dana is 26 years old when we start the story, and she is a Black woman living in Los Angeles, yes, with her new husband, Kevin, who is a white man, and they have just moved into their new apartment. And while they are putting up their bookshelves, Dana starts feeling nauseous and then collapses and finds herself in the middle of a river in the 1800s in Maryland. And there is a white little boy who is thrashing about in the water, almost drowning, and she saves him. And that begins the time travel grim fantasy that is Kindred. As I mentioned, I think Kindred was written in did I mention that it was published in 1979? I might not have done that.
Not this one.
Okay, so it was published in 1979. It's Octavia Butler's first novel. And at the time of its publishing, it was the first novel that took up issues of, it's like a neo-slave narrative. It took up issues of the relationships between Black people and white people in the antebellum south of the U.S., but took it up from the perspective of, number one, a Black woman who was not enslaved technically, but also using the literary device of time travel as an opportunity to shed light on and ask questions about issues of power, race, patriarchy, and whether the U.S. has actually moved forward in. So Octavia Butler was asking the question in 1979: is the experience of Black women, Black people in the 70s in the U.S. that much removed from the experiences of Black people in the beginning of the 19th century in the southern states? Now, of course, what's very interesting about our foray into Kindred is the fact that we are reading this book in 2020. I know many people watching this video will not be able to say that they were born in the 70s, but I know some of you were born in a decade. I see you. And so for those of you born in a decade, you will know that there have been a number of different kinds of, uprisings that have happened since the 1970s. Certainly the 1970s was characterized by a sense of freedom and hippiness and women's liberation in a particular way. And certainly, a sense of the 80s and 90s, a sense of Black people, exploring creativity and exploring freedom, sort of coming out of the civil rights movement, jerry curls and shoulder pads and such.
Everything that I had.
Everything that Tommy had, not me. But certainly it was written at a time where when people were asking questions about how free Black folks were. And certainly we're asking those questions now as we see ancestors like George Floyd and Breonna Taylor, and many, many others who are, causing us to think about the value of Black lives. I think having this discussion about kindred at this time is also going to be an important one. So, did I enjoy the book? What do I have to say about it? I'm not sure that Kindred is a book to be enjoyed. I think Kindred is a book to be experienced. It's kind of like when you visit a cemetery to honor the dead. It's not really something you enjoy, maybe, but something that you observe. So I think Kindred is a book to be observed. It's a book to be experienced. But it's incredibly disturbing. And I was disturbed reading it. Every time I read it, I see and experience new things. And I definitely did this time. I'll say that this reading of Kindred got me thinking about my genealogical exploits. So learning about my ancestors, that's one thing that it got me thinking about this time. Because, well, this is not a spoiler, but the little boy that Dana rescues in her first visit to the past is an ancestor of hers. He is, at the time that she rescues him, the son of the owner of the plantation, Rufus Whalen. And so we learn about their relationship, because there is a relationship between the two of them, and he is very much her gateway to the past. And so she literally gets to meet her ancestors as a result of these trips to the past and back into the future. And they take their toll on her, they take their toll on Kevin, they take their toll on the people from the past. And of course, some of the main questions that are associated with time travel are asked, like, should you do things to change the trajectory of history if you go back to the past, or should you leave things intact? And if you change things, how might that affect you going forward? And Dana develops a theory as to how much she can change and what she needs to see through in order for the present that she knows, the present that allows her to even exist, to come about. So yeah, I'm happy that I had an opportunity to read it. I also want to give a shout out to anybody who might be watching this video who is attending my law school, because I had a great opportunity to speak to some students today. And one of the things that I was asked was about, how do I stay whole as a lawyer, given the unique challenges that Black lawyers face. And one of the things that I do to stay whole is to read fiction, to read Afrofuturism and Black science fiction and fantasy. And I do that because while science fiction in particular, or speculative fiction, is fiction, meaning that it's about things that are not real necessarily, science fiction has a really uncanny way of becoming real. So query whether the kinds of electronic gadgets that we saw in the Star Trek Enterprise have now come to pass, right? I mean, I'm wearing an Apple Watch, and if you go and look back at some of the technology in those shows, you'll see that at some point it was science fiction to wear a computer on your wrist. And now I have a computer on my wrist and a computer in my hand. So speculative fiction, I think, is a tool that helps us create the future through the decisions that we make in our present. And so what does Kindred help us consider? I think at this time, Kindred is allowing me to think about and to remember the ways that Black lives didn't matter, and to think about how far we've moved forward in terms of our lives mattering, and how much we're willing to risk to draw a straight line from the past to the present in order to lay down the appropriate principles and values to guide us into the future that we're co-creating. So with that said, I enjoyed my 4th reading of Kindred. And if you are interested in having a conversation with us about this novel, then you're more than welcome to join us for the Octavia E. Butler Slow Read this Sunday. If I get my act together, I will put a link in the downstairs, as Brody would say, so you can find out more about the slow read and join us, or you can watch the replay, which will be on this channel at some point. All right. If you have watched this video all the way to the end, I would love it if you would include an icon of like related to time travel. So
yes,
like a
TARDIS from Doctor Who.
A TARDIS? What's it? Oh, the TARDIS. Okay.
Like the phone booth that
yeah.
The noises. Yeah.
So a phone booth, the TARDIS, or a watch, or the sands of time, like like that thing. You know, time things. The hourglass. Because it's Friday night. Who knows? Who has words? Who has words? And I am going to shout out. Blah, 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 blah. Who do I want to shout out today? You know what? I am going to shout out. What is the name of his channel? Is it the Book Barrel? Okay, you know what? I will figure that out. I'll do that in next one. For this video, I am gonna shout out the Book Supplier, because I just love those videos. They're fun, they're great, and the sarcasm is real, and I just feel like the Book Supplier is somebody you should know about and whose channel you should follow. Okay, that is all I'm gonna say today. Remember always to read with purpose, because if you're not doing that, I have judgments about you. And why not spend your time doing things that will be edifying and will change the world? Thanks for watching. See you in my next video.
Bye.
Bye.